to teach level 1 scales, tell the students to turn to page 64 and look at major scale level 1, number 1. Now there may be a little confusion on this page. It says at the top chanting scales and level 1 scales, but chanting is just saying the scale. You go check out that video if you want to hear in depth of what a chanting scale is. But a level 1 scale is the same, but instead of saying the letter names, you're going to be playing it. So scale number 1 is A flat for everybody except the horns. Horns are going to learn concert E flat first. Don't worry about explaining transpositions to students, especially if you teach middle school. Just tell them to learn major scale number 1 on page 64. It just takes all of that talk about transposition out until they're later when they're ready for it. If they are young, they often don't play the correct line. Even if you've explained it really well and told them exactly where it is, they'll still be out in la la land or whatever. So have them actually put their finger on the scale that you're working on, and then check their neighbor beside them to see if their finger's on the right scale. Check the other neighbor over here to make sure they're on the right scale. And I usually go around and spot check a few students that I know often have trouble staying on task in my class. So you must have at least 2 groups. Everyone but horns in group 1 and horns in group 2. So I would model on your main instrument or use a piano. I like to use a clavinova because it's always in tune. And connect the idea of the level 1 scale to the written scale and chanting scale that they have hopefully already learned and memorized. Encourage them to memorize this scale and play it over and over and over and over with a metronome on at 66 beats per minute. Stress that they must use the annotated fingerings, because if they do, then they will be setting themselves up for success. These fingerings are derived from professionals on each instrument, and it's the most ergonomic way to play each scale when you play it very fast. Tell them about the key signature and how to apply it to the specific pitches that are flat or natural in this scale. They regularly miss the first, fourth, and top pitch. Key signatures can be very challenging, especially for middle school students. So one strategy that's particularly effective for my students is to touch the first flat in the key signature, B flat, with their left index finger, and then touch the pitch, each pitch in the scale that is now B flat instead of B natural. And then touch the E flat in the key signature and touch each E flat that is now no longer E natural but E flat because of the key signature. And then A flat, touch each A flat. You get the idea. When I teach this level 1 scale, I model the fingerings on one instrument each time we repeat it. So I would go grab a kid's trombone or have one up in the front ready to go, and then show them up high so they can see, like stand up on my podium and show them up high, kind of turn to the side so that they can see the exact slide positions. And then, I'll grab another instrument. I'll go get a euphonium or a trumpet or, whatever they haven't seen lately. Show them, and when we do it the first few times, I try to show them on as many instruments as I can each day while still staying within that 15-minute time period. An easy way to do this is to borrow a student instrument and just don't put it on your mouth, but you can hold it up high so they can all see it, and you can walk through and get real close to them so that, especially your kids that kind of zone out, if you get close to them, they will perk up and pay attention. So we use a technique that I call air and finger. The students are going to form the mouth shape of blowing out a candle, and then they'll blow air continuously, not into the instrument, but they'll articulate with the tongue every time they're supposed to articulate, and then they don't articulate on slurs. So, on a scale, you're going to, and then slur when it comes out, just move the fingers. And then same thing, trombone players, they've got to move the slide. And then percussionists, instead of doing anything with their air, are going to air stick an inch or 2 above the correct bar with the correct mouth. Make sure they're starting on their left hand and alternating hands, not being a one-arm percussionist. Every time I model a scale, I have them either air and finger or say the letter names while doing the correct fingerings in time with the metronome. Kind of alternating back between those two really helps a lot. Very short, intense bursts of study work best for my students. I don't want them to go, oh, scales. I want them to be like, yeah, scale time. I love scales. So if you keep it short, they're more likely to enjoy scales. And on a normal day, it'll be 5 to 7 minutes. The exception to that would be if I'm teaching a new scale. So say, I'm talking to my 6th graders, hey, we're going to learn a new kind of scale, level 1 scales. It may take about 15 minutes to get them organized and doing all the touching the flats and airing and fingering and getting their bearings on this new scale. But demand that they play the correct pitches and point out mistakes that you hear and see every time. It really helps to get them in smaller groups. Like, okay, clarinets, let's hear you guys play it. All right, flutes, let's hear you guys play it. In smaller groups, it's easier to hear problems. Also, you don't want to be Dr. Doom, though. You don't want to tell them wrong, 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 wrong over and over again. You want to tell them at least twice as much what they're doing well as to what they're doing wrong.